Call the meeting to order. All those that can stand, please do so for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation. Okay, just for general information, I'm not listening to music. I actually have them set up to be hearing aids. So then I also can shut you off too if I want to, but I won't. Okay, so roll call, please.
All board members are present except for Mr. Howe, and he sends his regrets.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support, Sylvia. Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mr. Sharlick?
Sharlick, yes.
Ms. Frederick? Frederick, yes. Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Sylvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Hamel?
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Right. Next item is a consent agenda. Get a motion to approve that, please.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Lord Sylvia. Moved and supported. Vote, please.
1 second. Messed up. Ms. Frederick?
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Sylvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Hamel?
Hamel, yes.
Mr. Sharlick?
Sharlick, yes.
Okay. Pass.
All right. Announcements. Highland Township had 6,467 voters participate in the August primary. We want to thank the election workers and the township employees for their support. It's a lot of work, and they did a resounding job on it. Highland Farmers Market is every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in front of the Township Hall and will be open through October 3rd. Special theme market days are August 15th at Monarch and Native Garden celebration. And then September 12th is a tailgate party. October 3rd is Trick or Treat family costume parade. The Sound Like Summer concert series sponsored by Downtown Development Authority will have their last concert tomorrow evening from 7 to 9. Veterans Park, located at the corner of John Street and West Livingston. Classic rock and country dance music performed by Karen Lynn David. The Planning Commission meeting has been moved from August 20th to Thursday, August 27th at 7:30 p.m. in the auditorium here. Township offices will be closed Monday, September 7th in observance of Labor Day. There's a free community health fair on Friday, September 11th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Highland Activity Center, featuring free health screenings, information, Michigan SOS mobile unit for on-site will be on site, and much more. The next talk of the town meeting will be Wednesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. in the Township Auditorium. What's the topic going to be on that?
We're in discussions.
Okay. All right.
Supervisor Hamel.
Yes.
So since we're closed on the 7th, we'll be having our board meeting September 14th.
No.
31st of August.
The 28th then.
No.
Okay.
So
Well, I don't know.
the September board meeting is moved up to August 31st because of Labor Day and whatnot. And then there's a budget workshop September 14th.
Thank you.
All right. We just move them around willy-nilly so that we can try and test our memory and things. So, all right, time for public comment. Jim?
Do I really have to? Anyway. I'm speaking tonight regarding the fire department millage discussion on your agenda and the critical decision you face before tomorrow's 4 p.m. county filing deadline. In recent days, township leadership publicly attributed the August 4th defeat of the 2.32 mill request to social media misinformation, writing off public opposition as online noise or personal grievances. Over 3,000 Highland residents, 3,097 to be exact, voted no on Tuesday. They claim that over 3,000 taxpayer citizens were simply tricked by Facebook posts is a direct insult to the voters of this township. They didn't vote no because they were misinformed. They voted no because they opened their tax bills, looked at the rapid rate of township spending, and realized they simply could not absorb another tax increase. I'll be honest with you. I am someone who calls out issues when I see them, but I have also been a steady supporter of public safety in Highland. I actively campaigned and helped pass the millage to build our new fire stations because our community desperately needed them. In early discussions, I was open-minded about this millage until I opened my actual tax bill in the mail. Looking at the hard numbers and seeing the real cost hit my household changed my mind, just like it did for thousands of my neighbors. Think about what taxpayers have absorbed since this millage was last renewed. Look at what has been stacked onto our tax bills over that time frame: rising taxable values, county level increases, school proposals, and compounding millage adjustments. Highland wasn't an isolated anomaly on August 4th, and this wasn't driven by local social media chatter. Look across Metro Detroit. Voters in Orion, Waterford, Independence, Brandon, and Sumter townships all turned down emergency service tax increases on the exact same night. The election results send a very clear message. Voters are approving straight renewals to keep baseline services running, but they are firmly shutting the door when local government comes back asking for a tax rate hike. People support our firefighters and first responders, but household budgets have reached their absolute limit. Township leaders might look at a tax hike in isolation and tell the public it's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it's not just a cup of coffee anymore. It's forcing people to make decisions on what is actually important. For folks living on fixed incomes or working class wages in Highland, it's the difference between protecting your house from tax foreclosure or paying for needed medications, which for some is the exact same cost as that cup of coffee after insurance or GoodRx. When residents see their own budgets squeezed hard while trying to make ends meet on a median household income, they expect local government to demonstrate the same principle before coming back for more. Doubling down on the exact same failed millage increase in November is a massive gamble. If it fails a second time, you risk losing the fire service in Highland Township altogether, and that is a risk the community cannot afford. Bring us a responsible plan, either renewal or a 2.0 increase. Can I get 10 seconds?
Go ahead.
Either a straight renewal with a Headley restoration or a fair compromise up to 2 mills. And if you do, you can put 2 signs in my yard. Bring us a responsible plan and this community will back you. Play the safe bet or cost us the fire department.
Anybody else have public comment? Jim?
Jim Lloyd, 2280 White Lake Road. I was an election worker at the recent primary election, and I've been at one of the legion of citizen township election workers that it takes to pull off an election. So I've seen it done the way it always was done, and as I'm sure all of you know, it was significantly changed for this recent election. Having worked the previous system, being there all day, I usually bring a book to read, and the changes that were made kept me busy all day. I never took the book out of the bag, and that was things like looking at the population and the changes that occurred due to advance voting and absentee without reason, and the number of people that vote in person has changed dramatically, and so it was a reduction in the number of precincts and the balancing of the workload. And I thought the balancing part worked really well. The time passes much faster when I'm busy than when I'm reading a book. So I just wanted to go on record congratulating Tammy Flowers, our clerk, and her staff for doing a brilliant job of completely overhauling the in-person voting process and it, from my viewpoint as a worker, it went off with practically no hitch. I could not be more impressed all day long at the efficiencies that are gained by having everybody in one place. I know some voters were confused, but that will correct itself and it'll end up being easier in the future. So congratulations. We're blessed to have Tammy and her staff leading the way on this.
Thank you. As you know, it's a huge team effort and I couldn't do it without everybody's support such as yours and my office staff, even the office people who aren't in the clerk's department. It's just a major team job.
Yes, sir.
How are folks doing tonight? I've never been in a situation like this, and I see you guys got the stopwatch going on. So if I ask a question, does that clock stop so you guys can answer it, or what?
No.
Okay, okay. Hey, puppy. How you doing, baby? I
Okay,
got a
so
pet too.
name and address.
Okay, so a few questions for you guys. You know, I saw the beautiful new fire department on Waterloo Road. You got the huge new, just massive fire department on M59 and whatnot. So how much has the population changed since you guys built these two huge fire departments and stuff? There's no down on Clyde Road that is basically, I mean, we can open up this October's a haunted house. The place is like nothing, you know. So the question is, if you guys built these two new great fire departments, which cool, you know, I moved out here like 3 years ago. Okay. So I'm not new here. I own a business at Oakland International Airport in Waterford, but I moved out here, actually got married 5 years ago, rock and roll, you know, or 3 years ago, whatever stuff. But, you know, why hasn't the property been sold? If you guys have these two new great places, which the one in Waterloo is in such close proximity to that old one on Clyde Road. Question number one. So you guys have purchased new fire department vehicles and stuff. Next question. Well, some of those old fire vehicles, if you've got new ones, what's happened? Have you offloaded those old ones? And if you have, what have they been sold for? Another concern, you know, and also with these new properties and everything that you guys have built and stuff, has this been amortized at like a 5-year depreciation level, or has it been amortized at once, you know, deducted right out of the gate and just, you know, swept, done, we're done with it and stuff? And, you know, are these gap principles that you guys as a township council using, I'm assuming, are they available publicly for me to take a look at? And, you know, out of curiosity, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you here, and Mr. Howe, trustees and I, do any of you own a business in Highland Township? So next question, you know, if this property, like that old property I mentioned, the old firehouse, isn't for sale on Clyde Road, excuse me, why not? Why isn't it? Yeah.
It's being used.
Pardon me, sir?
It's being used.
Yeah, but I mean, but yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Oh, well, no, she's, you know, what would you say, ma'am? I'm sorry? No, it's not being used. That's what I'm saying. It's not being utilized. Yeah. I actually voted for mill increase. This gentleman right here sitting to my left, you know, appreciate your service. You know, I do. Yeah. I voted for it. But, you know, these people in our township, I mean, look at the median income of people in Highland Township, man. They can't freaking afford it. Okay. You guys want to jam them up more. You know, I can afford to put a little bit more. I get it. Yeah. But a lot of these people can't, you know, look at how many trailer parks you have in the township of Highland and stuff. A lot of people just can't afford it. A lot of them are unemployed. Is that my time to stop? Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Thank you. Pardon me, ma'am?
I didn't catch your name. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name.
John Boncho. It's not. I'll give my name in. Lance, Lance. Last name is Lackey, Lackey. Would you like my address too?
Yeah.
2565 Center Road, CENTR Road, Highland, Michigan, 48357.
If you want to stay later, we can talk about some of your questions.
You know, it's not a public one. It's not worth my time because I'd like to hear everybody hear what you have to say. So, you know, private is like, you know, let's pass notes in 5th grade. Do you like me? Yes or no? Check the box. You know, it's not worth my time.
Joe Young's 2300 Horseshoe Drive with my wife. Joe Young's 2300 Horseshoe Drive. I live there with my wife Renee. Rumor has it about a month ago, you were out skulking around to see if you could hear Barn 45.
Not a rumor.
Well, I appreciate that. We at 2300, we appreciate you making that effort. So with that said, about a month ago, you having done that, the following weekend, it was dramatically reduced, the noise, dramatically. Okay. Now, week 2, we didn't hear anything. And rumor has it that it was a I guess, amplified performance. Well, week 3, yesterday, completely different story. They dialed it back up again. So I just wanted to bring that up. I did call the police, issue a complaint. But bottom line is we appreciate you making the effort on a Sunday evening to see what was going on, to validate the claims.
Well, you're welcome. I told you I'd do that.
Yeah, I know you did.
I wish everybody else actually on the board would go. I mean, it's 6:30 on Sunday.
Well, let's do it, man.
Should do it.
Yeah, get him to pick all you guys up and. Well, I don't know how serious he is. He is nodding, but nevertheless, thank you. And like I say, week 1, much quieter. Week 2, dead silent. Week 3, turned it back up.
I do know that on the 24th and 25th, there was a party by a different neighbor.
Oh, yes, there was. That was a 2-day party.
2-day party.
Totally
So
separate.
I just wanted to make sure you guys knew it wasn't,
3-day party? Yeah, it
wasn't Barn 45 doing it. So
no, right next door. But yeah, they raised some
Yeah.
serious hell there for a couple, 3 days. So a good time was had by all accounts. But anyways,
all right.
that's it. Joe Young's is out.
Like I said before, report it.
Yep.
The police will make a note of it. Those are the things that will go in the file. So when we do our end of year review, that's the stuff that we're going to have to bring up and talk about.
Okay.
And I will reach out and say, make sure you guys keep this thing down. So
Okay. Fair enough. Anyways, thanks again.
what I do want to say is, I know somebody has been over there. I don't know whether they went over during the event in the past, but it is a very interesting opportunity for a lot of young people. I would hate for them to ruin it for themselves.
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
And I was very impressed with it. Let's put it that way. But that's not saying that I'm trying to override what you guys feel and what you have to put up.
I understand. And like I said, when I was here on February 19th, I do not begrudge what they're doing. I don't want to stop them from, I just would prefer to not hear it.
Well, I did mention the time change. What I mentioned to you last time
Yes.
was that what if you started earlier in the day and we're done by 5:30 or 6 o'clock? And I think you guys were okay with that, which in reality, it's kind of like people are running mowers and making noise during the daytime. And
Yeah, there's plenty of other noise during the day or whatever. And usually
when you sit down for your dinner
Exactly.
outside, then they wouldn't be
they'd be done.
tuning in.
Yep.
So that was said to them. So his retort to that was, we already set up all of these events in advance and we'd like to finish them off. I said, if you want to finish them off, just don't ruin the opportunity.
Right.
So we'll see where they go with
All
that.
right. Okay, that's fair. I mean, maybe he's open to the idea of moving the time back a little bit next
Yeah,
year. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a very interesting, there's a lot of people. I can't believe how many people. I think there was probably 125 kids there, young people.
Yeah.
They feed them. There's kids that show up there that don't have a place to live sometimes. And so it's got a lot of really good values, but that's not an override to what we had discussed with them. So
Yeah, we're in agreement there. Yeah.
we'll just keep working forward and let's find a way to massage it so it works for everybody. That's my goal. I hope that's
Definitely
acceptable.
ours. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to be a complete ass about this. Anyways, okay. Thanks for the time.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment?
Doug Prime, 2281 White Lake Road.
Now, he didn't hear, we heard him on the second. We're closer than there. They were like over the hill. You know, the high spot in Highland there. But we heard him on week 2. You know, so we're here to, you know, give you our complaint for what they're doing. And then last week, they just cranked it back up. So I don't see where they're gonna, you may be able to go in there and stop them for a little bit for that day, but I think they're just gonna carry on like they have been. I don't see anything changing. And, you know, like you said, it's cool with the kids and whatnot, but I don't need weed. I know we don't like people moseying around, and there could be some of those doing that. We're so close. We're only a 10-acre piece away to our spot, you know, that it just bothers us. That aspect of just what you said, it's troubling to me that that's in my neighborhood. You know, I hear you where, you know, they're helping the kids out. There's also an element going there, I'm sure, that is not going to be looking out for my welfare. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's your opinion, and I appreciate that. But
I mean, I looked at that, they got their stuff online. You look at some of the people out there, and I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about some of that, you know. That's just me. And, you know, that's our neighborhood. We moved in there 30 years ago, put up a house, and then here we've got this plopped right in next to us, you know, totally wasn't in the plan. So you're kind of shoving the 30-year guys out of the way and saying, oh, this is good for us. Let's do this. And we don't agree. You know, we've been there a long time. So just so you know.
all right, well, I'm gonna work
Take
on
that into consideration, you know, when it comes up for review, you know, whenever that's gonna happen.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Public comment?
Rang the bell early. Bill Anderson, 3301 Saddle Ridge, Highland. Going back over the fire millage again, for those of you who don't attend this meeting regularly, it was explained by the fire chief in the past that there was a bit of a shortage in staff for some of the emergency calls that come in. And at that time, I think it was explained to me that there was perhaps 2 people per shift that were on duty at all times. And that in the case of an emergency call where there had to be an ambulance transport, that one guy can't, there's only 2 people that show up. One of them might be driving the fire truck, the other one's driving the ambulance. And when you got to do a transport, you're going to leave the truck behind so that somebody can ride in the back with a patient. Being not getting any older every day, I look at possible that when I need to call the ambulance because I've got a medical emergency, it'd be kind of nice to know that there's enough people on board in order to do this. Now, that explains to the general public what's going on. What I also reminded the fire chief of was you need to get out and share the information of where the money that's currently being collected is going. And you also need to explain what the increase is going to be. You've got to explain that. The word has to get out. What do you guys have to stand down in front of Kroger's or over here in front of Save-A-Lot or whatever and hand flyers out? The people need to be going out and pitching for this. It can't be one of these, oh yeah, the first time you see it is on the ballot and so, look at this. No, forget it. You know, I don't want another tax increase. You got to explain the importance of having people available. Because if you don't have people available to do the emergency thing, if you decide to cut your fingers off, or you have a heart attack, you're going to want somebody to come running to help you. So something to think about, folks. Something to think about.
All right, anybody else?
Hi, I'm Renee Youngs from 2300 Horseshoe Drive. And I just wanted to inform you guys, I was contacted by the property owner of 45, not this weekend, but the weekend prior, where he wanted to come by our house and listen to how loud it was and communicate back to the camp to make adjustments. Well, I gave that a lot of thought, a few days, and I felt that it was inappropriate Because if he makes changes based on our property, it's gonna affect our neighbors. It may be worse for them and their animals and whatnot, so I just respectfully declined and explained my position, so. I mean, they are willing to work with us, but I don't think that was proper, so. And there was no response, so that's fine. So that's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have a public comment? Anthony?
First name's Anthony, last name Ramondo, 2148 North Hickory Ridge Road. I'm just really encouraged to see Bill Anderson here tonight. I know he's a longtime supporter of Highland Township. Roscoe Smith too is here, and then all these other people that have come out. It's nice to see people in the seats for these meetings. So I know how tough public service is. So I wanted to ask the Township Board if they would recognize Mike Borg for his service as Vice Chair on the Zoning Board of Appeals. He is retiring, sold his property in Highland, and his last meeting is August 19th. I also served with Mike Borg on the Zoning Board of Appeals in the village of Milford. And so he's very passionate about zoning ordinance, public policy, and procedure. Secondly, who else is here? Cassie doing a great job. Marketing, sales for the township. Follow Facebook and socials. Had a chance before the meeting to run around the Hickory Ridge walking trail. And I wanted to compliment the Parks and Recs Department, as well as Cornerstone Church of Highland for the great job they did cleaning up the trail. Seems like that they reproduced the signs as well to kind of capture the historical features of the trail, like what's going on there. Was a questioning about the soccer fields and the trail that runs around the fields. I know a few years ago there was money allocated to replace the trail. However, it still seems to be dilapidated. Grass is growing through it. I know that's an expensive process to have the asphalt repaved every year. I remember you talked about possibly putting some type of
Aggregate in it.
Aggregate in there. So excited to see that happen. Also excited to see the new property that was purchased for $250,000 south of 59 on Hickory Ridge. Checking online to see when that's going to open for public use. Also excited about that opportunity. And then lastly, just wanted to reach out and call out Brian Howe, as well as Mrs. Lewis and Mr. Salvia. We appreciate your service to the township. But as I've stated before, I would ask that you would consider retirement and make way for the next generation to step up and make hard decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I do have to say that ironically, we weren't informed that Mr. Borg was leaving. Shame on us. But and I do appreciate his service. You know, I was the one that asked him if he'd like to come on board, and so I appreciate his service very much. And sometimes things happen fast like that. You know, it's before his service is ended. So fortunately, we do have a couple of good alternatives, and we'll be able to survive until probably March, when we'll pick somebody new, or maybe in between. We'll see how that works out. But thanks for your commentary. I appreciate it very much. Any other public comment? Okay, I'm going to make one. I know these guys hate this when I do this stuff, but I don't care because I'm the supervisor. Get that out of her hand. So when people say they don't understand about the cost of this fire department and that type of thing, Just to give you an example, the way that this fire department is paid for, anything that's a millage, the people who have the lowest value in their homes are being subsidized by the people who have the higher value in their homes. So is that a fair way to deal with these types of processes? What's that?
There, that, sir.
The truth is that if you look at your tax bill and you see what your share of the millage is, you will find that the majority of people under half, in other words, pay less than the people that have higher value homes for the exact same service. So if you're going to do it in an equal process, then it should be per parcel. Now, here's what it would cost per parcel for that millage that we're looking to ask for: $331.24 per parcel. Tell me how you can get any kind of service that's going to show up in probably 5 or 6 minutes to your home, more than likely save your life if you called them, for $331 a year. That's not including the millage we have for paying off the buildings. That's a separate thing. That goes away. But the operations is something you have to have happen over and over and over again. So when somebody says we're going broke over this stuff, I can identify with that. And I'll give you an example of why it's so unfair for everybody. And we have to find a way to solve this. So I'm getting to a point here, so just bear with me. I've lived in my home for 41 years. The way that we assess houses is based on the value of the home. It has nothing to do with the land. You can have big parcels of property. Your tax share is pretty low if you don't have any houses or anything on it. So my taxes are $2,700 a year. I don't pay anywhere near $331 for emergency services. But I fell off my roof of my shed that I was building and broke my back. And in 6 minutes from the time that my watch dialed 911, I had emergency services there. Is that worth $331? That's worth $3,000. You can't get that kind of service for that money. So my point is, the real way to make this happen is pay by the parcel. Pay for police by the parcel. You can't do that with a millage. Millages are based on these graduated value of homes. Back in the day when they started this stuff, most of the houses were ticky-tacky little houses in cities that all had the same size lot, relatively equal value from home to home. Now you got McMansions all over the place, and you got people that are paying to subsidize those like myself. I don't need a subsidy. Why am I being subsidized? Because I have the benefit of the way the tax system works. I own my home for 41 years, and I have a PRE. The people that are eating us up is the county, the state, and the federal government, not the local government. The Highland Township, our government right here, and I'm going to say that it's the fire and the police and us are not the ones eating it up. It's the others. And I will respond to the social media. The reason those others, this is my opinion and the reason I said it, those other communities had the same failures is because social media has the ability to get out and do things that no other media does. We don't have any other good process to be able to get to individuals with information. We do stuff at the township. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a little magazine we put out. We're constantly doing news releases. People don't look. You got 20,000 people in this community. And ironically, there's 17,000 registered voters out of 20,000 people. So to have 6,000 people show up and make decisions for maybe 17,000 or 20,000 people is kind of a strange time to put something on a ballot. You know, you kind of should have more people show up to vote for it. So a minority made a decision for the majority that may not be what's real. So the opportunity is, let's put it back on the ballot and see what the majority of the population says that might show up. If it doesn't pass, actually sayonara to fire department. Shuts down.
So you're willing to risk the fire department pushes mill?
No, but you are. I don't know, you want to risk it. That's what happens. When you don't know in a village, let me finish. You have not taken the responsibility to understand completely what the costs are and what the costs are to everybody. Yes, there are people that cannot afford another dollar. There may be ways that we can work with those people in the future if we figure out ways to do this. We can't do it with the system we have now. And what happens is, if you choose not to support the millage and the fire funding goes down, we will have to find a way to make it happen.
Let's face it, a lot of people, I mean, the median income in Highland Township is what?
Here.
They're financially exhausted, sir. They're financially exhausted, raising costs nationally. Oh, that's going down. Yeah, but everything else is going up. Your fuel.
Don't think the fire department's financially exhausted. That now let me finish here. No, I'm in control of this. Let me finish. Sir, stop, please. I'm the person that has a public comment right now, and I'm making that public comment, and I'd appreciate it if you would let me finish. Okay, I normally don't do this, but let me finish, please. So what we have to think about in the future here is these costs are never gonna go down. And we've seen everything climb like crazy. So we're gonna give it another shot, I hope. The board has that opportunity to make that decision, to see what the rest of the public says. If the public says go ahead, then we go ahead. If they say no, we don't, then we're gonna have to take a different avenue, and that will be determined after the November election, how we're gonna do that. We fortunately are not like other communities. We have enough funding to go through 27. So that means we'll have enough time to be able to find a resolution to how we're going to pay for police and fire in the future. So that's my comment. And I want you to understand that, you know, each of you have your right to think what you want. But I'm just giving you information that you may not have. And I think most of you don't. So. For what? I'm careful. That's my attorney trying to tell me to shut up. So. Well, let me put it this way. I'm a passionate person. Just like James, you're a passionate person. You speak your piece. Everybody that's come up here is a passionate person. One of the things that I need to promise to do is to work for everybody, not for Republicans, not for Democrats, not for independents, for everybody. You voted me into office, the majority. So 4 times. That tells me something, that people appreciate how I handle things. And not only me, but our board. Our board is receptive to what we're doing for our community. So we are freaking out over the fact that we've never seen a millage get shot down, and fire department hasn't either. And the irony is, it's everywhere. And in that newspaper statement, the thing I said was, people are tired of taxes. I'm tired of taxes. I'm tired of the way that we end up financing the things we do. There has to be a change in the way that we do stuff here in the state of Michigan, here in the USA. But we have ability to be able to make changes in this community, and we have ability to make changes statewide, but it's going to take some time to make that happen. This is what the people are saying. We're not real happy with the way we're being taxed. So let's find a way. Let's work together. And that's what we really need to do. Now, you have I don't disagree with you, James, but we have some issues with how do we pay for it. So my attorney says, be careful. So I'm going to end it there, but please believe that we are trying to do the best for our community as a whole and for everybody. And keep in mind that when you look at these numbers on the ballot, it's hard for people to look at a $2.7 million number and not feel like it's all coming out of your pocket because you don't know your share. If you look at your property taxes, you would know your share, but then you have to do the math. And if there's 8,247 pesos, what's my real share? And then if you do that math, you might find out you're being subsidized. It's unfair to somebody else. My neighbors pay way more than I do. Let me finish here. I gave you the opportunity to do this at the end of the meeting. We're going to do the public hearing right now, or the public comment. So I sit next to neighbors that pay 10 times what I pay in taxes. They get the same service. It's not fair. So there's going to be how we come up, we pass this thing, get it out of the way, or we tell it no, and it doesn't pass, then we're going to find a way to make it fair. Trust me, that's how it's going to work. Okay, I'm done. Next item.
Number 8, new business.
Okay, new business. I'm gonna make a motion to you flip me all over. Somebody make a motion. Get this thing rolling here.
I make a motion to approve resolution 26-30 approving,
29.
sorry. I read the wrong one. I'll start over. I make a motion to approve resolution 26-29 to establish millage rates for 2027 budget.
Support.
Okay, any discussion?
These millage rates will be going on the winter 2026 bill. Tax bill.
I would suggest reading the rates.
Okay. We'll be collecting 0.6 mils for general operating, 1.8169 for fire operating, 0.9488 for the fire capital, 3.2645 for the police operating, 1.5352 for the library operating.
Go, please.
If we're ready to vote, then we'll start. Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlotte, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item, consideration of public for approving public purpose service agreement with community sharing. Somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the public purpose service agreement with community sharing for the period of July 2026 through July 2027 in the amount of $8,500
And authorize the township supervisor to sign.
and authorize the township supervisor to sign the public purpose service agreement.
All right. Support, Salvia. Any discussion? All right, roll please.
Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlotte, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel.
Hell, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is, we're making trying to make some changes in, some duties of some individuals. Right now, we have 2, full-time maintenance people and 1 part-time, maintenance person. Currently, the fire marshal is also the ordinance officer for zoning in the township. So we're looking forward to making some changes where the zoning ordinance officer comes back to Highland Township. And that leaves the duty of the fire marshal. So the proposal here is that we want to move our current part-time maintenance individual, Jeremy Worthman, to a part-time job as the township ordinance officer. And in the process of that transfer, we're actually eliminating a job, but we're actually spending less to do this. So the move is actually a positive move in terms of how much it costs the township to get the exact same product out of it that we had before. So anybody would like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance enforcement staffing transition as presented, including the transfer of Jeremy Worthman to part-time ordinance officer effective August 11th, 2026. Elimination of the part-time maintenance position from the budget. The transition, are these both in the same one? And the transition of Laura Carpenter to the fire department administrative assistant effective August 11th, 2026. Funded
Which?
They are, I'm sorry. Okay, so part-time maintenance position from the budget, period.
Right.
I'm sorry. The fire, yes, that is it. Support.
Okay, any questions on that?
So is the fire marshal no longer responsible for ordinance enforcement?
Correct. No, right now there's a transition period. So the new ordinance person is going to have to train through the rest of the year. It's Jeremy. And he will train the rest of the year with the current fire marshal to learn the position. And then when that transition occurs, he'll probably move back to here. So, all
Any
right.
more discussion?
Okay, any questions on the board side? All right, vote please.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, so the part that we started with.
Yeah.
In that first motion that we.
So do we have to do this budget
What's that?
amendment?
Yes, we broke the budget amendment into two pieces because it got really confusing.
Okay, so I recommend I approve the budget amendment as presented to transfer Jeremy Worthman wages from part-time maintenance to part-time ordinance assistance effective 8/11/2026. Second, I need a second. Support.
You moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. So the next item is, the mention was Laura Carpenter. Right now, Laura works as administrative assistant to the fire marshal and ordinance and does some assistance to the fire chief. And for years, I've been telling the fire department, you need to have an administrative assistant, and they've never been able to seem to keep one. Now they have one that looks like is a real fit. And what they want to do is they want to move her from part-time to full-time. Is there anything else, Chief, you want to describe what you want to do here? You're okay.
Yeah, the point is to do that transition from the ordinance officer, getting them back over here. To do everything in a transition in a timely manner to give everybody proper training in the aspect of that. Taking Rick's advice and moving on with the aspect of needing an administrative assistant. Now I've been chief for 3 years. I can definitely see the need for needing an administrative assistant. Her work has been invaluable so far. Has already received us $14,000 in grant money to receive forecasts. I mean, she's been doing excellent. So proving that she's a great fit. It's very difficult to spread her or to do things when you have the phones ringing off the hook for cut grass and barking dogs and things like that. So it just makes more sense to transition her over to full-time fire administrator. And then we'll work with the plan to transition Jeremy to take over the ordinance thing after he's fully trained by Sean. So that is the transition planned up and coming to improve our department for better paperwork and documenting, which from the state side is getting dropped down harder and harder of the things we have to do to be able to document for all of our trainings, all of our education, everything, keep track of everything. It'll be a big value, a big assist, and can free up the crews that are out running calls right now that don't have time to do all this stuff to be able to actually get some of that backlog documentation done and pushed away.
So I'm assuming we need to make the first motion.
Well, I'm gonna do it again, just her part. Okay. I make a motion for the transition of Laura Carpenter to Fire Department Administrative Assistant effective August 11th, 2026, funded 100% by the Fire Department. Period.
Support Salvia. Moved and supported. Vote please, unless there's questions.
Why is he asking questions?
Pardon me?
Added benefits, health insurance, PTO, hourly wages, potentially overtime. So is the township considering that? I mean, shouldn't we ask?
Let's consider all that.
It's all in the budget amendment.
In this one.
All right,
So we need to vote.
vote please.
Ms. Frederick.
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia.
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte.
Charlotte, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
And now there's a budget amendment.
I make a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented to transfer Laura Carpenter wages from 60-40 split between township and fire to 100% fire effective August 11th, 2026. Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia.
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte.
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick.
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so the next item is in order to put this back on the ballot for the fire millage, we need to pass a resolution so that we can get this back to the county by tomorrow.
I make a motion to approve resolution 26-30, approving submission of fire millage proposition to electors. Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say a little bit about it. I can appreciate both sides of it. One thing that was said that I think is on the top of people's minds is our population hasn't changed in the last 25 to 30 years. And I don't have a problem with putting this back on the ballot for more people to weigh in on it. But I will say that if people decide themselves, I can appreciate one person may think they want more public safety and more ambulatory service or more fire service. But if the voters, in my mind, I have no problem presenting it to the voters, but if the voters turn it down again, I'm going to have a real hard time moving forward, because they'll have said, whether they're uninformed or not uninformed, they'll have spoken and said, we do or do not want this. So I don't have a problem presenting it this way, but I think if it doesn't pass, then, you know, it's going to be difficult, because that's the way it works. The democratic process takes over and people have said they don't want it, whether they're right or wrong, you know, that's how it works. Now they voted to approve the fire millage to build the fire departments. And I think what you're seeing is you're seeing people getting pushed from every angle, and whether it's fuel prices or insurance prices, whatever it is, they have a second thought about it now. So I'm okay with the way it is.
I'd like to give them another chance at it, you know, that we can work to inform them as much as possible, but if it's turned down again, then I think we're in a different position.
I don't disagree with that. I think that, I think that the conception is, and James kind of makes a point here. The conception isn't that they don't want it to succeed. I also think there's a lot of people that don't understand if you vote no on this twice, there's no funding. It doesn't say anywhere, any place that there's no funding. And so that misunderstanding by a lot of people could put the thing in jeopardy. Now, James' point of view is he's okay with 2. So the question has to come back. If it does fail, then we're going to have some conversation about this. Where are we going to set this at? And this is one of the statements I'll make about it, that I don't mean it to be blunt or braggadocious, but for some odd reason, we go through this whole process of electing 7 public officials to manage the township's finances. And we go through great detail to put budgets together and find out what everything costs and make sure we're not wasting money. And to do things like build a township hall without charging anybody any additional money because we saved money over the years. Things like that we've done all along. Same thing with the fire department. They've modified some things they would love to do. It costs a lot more money, but you've got to look at it and say, maybe we can't do that. So my point being is, why do we suddenly put out to the public a request to give us permission to do the job we've already been told we should be doing? And that's making sure that we're fiscally responsible and hiring the right number of police officers, hiring the firefighters, and making sure that we're not hiring firefighters, training them, and giving them to another community. So you got to look at ways, how do you pay for that? It costs more money, but how do we do it? So the process is through a millage, which, in the irony of it is, makes not a whole lot of sense, because the general public doesn't come in here and pay any attention to what we're doing. They don't come through our doors and ask the questions they should be asking about this. And we have all this stuff available on the website. Everything is out there. And we make point to get out on the internet and our websites and everything we can do legally. We do that. And we don't get the response that we should get. So we know people are smart about the decisions they're making. I'm finishing mine, please. I have this thing that we were asked to put a little bit more money on that millage. And our board said, we're not going to do it that way. It's going to be less. The fire department would like to have had more because they could do the things that they need to do to make sure there's 24/7 coverage without making everybody work overtime. So what we put together with the fire chief and the board was this 0.5 mil addition to what they've been collecting for years. And when you start to, like, $2.7 million seems like a lot of money. It is. It really isn't enough. Example can give you is that taxpayers pay us 0.6 mils to operate this operation, $600,000 out of a almost $4 million budget. Where's the money come from? It comes from a lot of places. So the money for police and fire comes from the public directly. So we don't subsidize that. You guys pay directly for it. So I really get the point that people are flustered with this. I'm flustered. These guys are flustered. That's why I don't want to hear it anymore. But I'm flustered enough that we have to find a resolution of this sooner than later. And there's some people out there that tried to get an axe my tax, do away with property tax. It didn't get on the ballot, but I bet you if that had gotten on the ballot, we'd be sitting there going, what are we going to do now? Because they'd have voted property taxes right out. That's probably not the most unrealistic thing to do, because it's going to force the people to see, how do we go about paying for all these services that we demand? When you dial 911, you expect somebody to show up. Well, for $331.24, you could have that person show up. That's an insurance policy. Add in the other millage, and then, so if the police department, based on what their millage is, that might be $490 or $500 a year. So for less than $1,000 a year, which is half the cost of insurance on a lot of cars, you get an insurance policy that somebody's going to be there for you. That's the way we need to look at these things. These are insurance policies. You don't want that insurance policy? You might have to get your own done. You might have to call up Star and wonder when they're going to show up. And they're probably not gonna, because we took their job away from them, so, and all the other fire departments are doing the same thing. They're taking the job away. And the reason is we couldn't get enough service from the private sector. This is how you get instant services. You provide it to your own people, your own community. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry. Anybody have another comment? What's that?
Primary. Instead of minority group in your public comment, put it on the primary.
That's what's going on right now.
That's what we're going to do.
Why not put it in the general?
Yes.
They're doing right now.
Right, but who put it on the primary? You said it was a small group of.
Yeah, we put our primary first. Yep, that's what was requested by the fire department.
So a political strategy.
No, not on our part.
Yeah.
And right.
Board comment?
Go ahead. Okay, hold on, guys.
Okay, I would like to try to answer some of these questions. We already talked about population hasn't changed much, but the need for services has increased greatly. Properties for sale, we are not selling the former station properties. They have been repurposed for storage in the short run, and maybe eventually some will be sold and some will be turned into other uses for the departments. The fire vehicles have been sold that have been decommissioned, and that's all reported in our financials according to the requirements. Yes, and I'll be happy to get to that. The new properties being advertised, I mean, we have a 20-year bond on those properties and they're paid off over the 20-year millage. GAAP principles. So for government, we have an even higher standard. It's called GASB. And we have a 2-week audit every year where we have auditors in here poring over our books. It's a very strenuous process. Do we own businesses? About half of the people on the board here either currently own business or have owned businesses or have a spouse that owns a business in the area. So the other points I wanted to address, if you would look up the other communities directly adjacent to us, their safety millages, fire and police add up to a lot more than what we're paying. Historically, Highland's millage rates have been artificially low because of our structure, and we are in need to make some corrections to that, very small corrections. We are looking at issues with retaining staff in the fire department. If we aren't able to get any kind of an increase, we could have a basically empty department where you have 1 or 2 people on staff instead of the full staff. Many of these people in the department are working great amounts of overtime trying to cover because they don't have enough other people to provide the coverage that we need in our community. And for those reasons, I'll be supporting this increase. I have copies of what we've written up. We've changed the wording slightly to explain it better than the first time. We had some feedback that people felt that it wasn't clear enough what we were doing. So we did modify the verbiage a bit to try to make it more clear to people who are voting. That's it for me.
Anybody else?
I would just like to make a quick comment. So often we don't realize how much we need a service until an emergency happens. And I know that when minutes count, we all count on our fire department to respond in a quick manner, which they do. They're one of the best departments in the whole area. And it's difficult to retain firefighters when you've got multiple communities all trying to basically steal from each other. You know, they want the best talent. So I think we've been very blessed having the staff that we do have. And this fire department actually started out with mostly volunteers. My husband was actually on it. We've been here for 40 years. And I know what these men go through, young men with families who have children. And their wives worry about them when they're coming home the next day. I mean, things happen. So I think we're very fortunate. And in order to retain it, I mean, we have to pay for the service. And nobody's going to pay their salaries unless we fund them. So I just wanted to say that I'm grateful, and thank you, Chief. Thank you to your entire staff for everything you've done over the 40 years I've lived here.
All right. I'll read the proposed millage. So this is what will be on the ballot. This is a proposal to renew the 1.85 fire millage and increase the millage by 0.47 mils to support fire department operations, which provide emergency fire and medical service to the community. The 1.85 millage will collect an estimated $2,178,354 in the first year of levy. The proposed 0.47 millage increase would result in an average of $67 in property taxes per parcel based on 8,247 parcels in the township, for an additional collection of an estimated $553,420 in the first year of the levy. So the question is, shall the Charter Township of Highland be authorized to renew the expiring voted 1.5 mils? That's 1.85. Parentheses, $1.85 per thousand of taxable value, reduced by the required millage rollbacks for fire and emergency medical services, and impose an increase of up to 4.47 mils or 47 cents per thousand dollars of taxable value for the levy, a total levy of 2.32 mils, $2.32 per $1,000 of taxable value as an increase in the tax limitations imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution, and levy it for 6 years, 2027 through 2032 inclusive, collecting an estimated $2,731,774 total in the first year of the levy. A small portion of the funds collected from only 605 DDA properties will be distributed to the Highland Downtown Development Authority to support business and economic development. So that's the language.
All right, so I would have two changes on that. So the fourth line down would result in an average of $67 increase.
So the copy I have says in a $67 average increase.
Right.
So you want average to come before
Yes.
67?
And then in the last paragraph, the fourth line from the bottom, collecting is capital. I'm gonna
Okay.
make that a lowercase.
Right. Okay.
So then any motion would need to adopt the language as amended.
Okay.
So the resolution as amended.
I make a motion to approve resolution 26-30, approving submission of fire millage to electors with as amended.
Right.
Who originally seconded?
Support.
Let's vote.
All right. Mr. Salvia?
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Sharlick?
Charlie, yes.
Ms. Frederick?
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. On that note, the meeting's adjourned.
You just told 3,000